Hello and welcome to Babiak's Russian Lesson 1. Listen to this conversation.
Девушка, прошу прощения. Вы понимаете по-английски? Нет, мужчина. Я не понимаю по-английски.
By the end of this lesson, you will learn how to understand and to repeat what you just heard. Let's begin with the first phrase. The speaker is saying, Miss, excuse me.
Девушка, прошу прощения. Девушка, прошу прощения.
Let's break this down. The first word is miss. Let's listen to this again.
Девушка. Девушка.
The Russian word for miss, or devushka, has a V sound consonant in the middle. Listen again, but this time repeat aloud.
Девушка. Девушка.
How would you say in Russian, miss?
Девушка. Девушка.
At the beginning of this lesson, you heard the speaker say, Excuse me. Listen again.
Прошу прощения. Прошу прощения.
Excuse me is actually two words. Proшу прощения. Try and roll your R's. Listen and repeat.
Прошу прощения. Прошу прощения.
If you feel that we're moving too quickly, don't worry, because we will be revisiting this material again. From what you've learned so far, can you try to say, Miss, excuse me?
Девушка, прошу прощения. Девушка, прошу прощения.
At the beginning of the conversation, you heard the speaker ask, Do you understand English? Let's listen to the Russian word for English, as in the English language.
По-английски. По-английски.
This word is similar to its English counterpart. Listen again. Be sure to put emphasis on the p sound.
По-английски. По-английски.
This form of the word is only used in a sentence. How would you say the Russian word for English when used in a sentence?
По-английски. По-английски.
Can you say, Miss, excuse me?
Девушка, прошу прощения. Девушка, прошу прощения.
How would you address a woman in Russian?
Девушка. Девушка.
At the beginning of the conversation, you heard the speaker ask, Do you understand English? Let's listen again.
Вы понимаете по-английски? Вы понимаете по-английски?
This differs from the English counterpart, in the sense that there is no word for do, as in do you understand? What the speaker is literally asking is, you understand English? Let's listen to the word for you.
Вы. Вы.
Phonetically speaking, this word would be pronounced like the two letters VY or V, but only slightly. Listen again and repeat. Try your best to sound just like the speaker.
Вы. Вы.
How would you say in Russian, you?
Вы. Вы.
Say, Miss, excuse me.
Девушка, прошу прощения. Девушка, прошу прощения.
At the beginning of the conversation, you heard the speaker ask, you understand English? Listen again.
Вы понимаете по-английски?
Which part of that sentence means English?
По-английски. По-английски.
Which part of that sentence means you?
Вы. Вы.
Now let's hear the whole sentence. Do you understand? Or literally translated, you understand? Listen.
Вы понимаете. Вы понимаете.
If you heard closely, the word for understand is понимаете. Let's listen again. Try your best to sound just like the speaker.
Понимаете. Понимаете.
How would you ask in Russian? You understand?
Вы понимаете. Вы понимаете.
From what you've learned, try to ask, you understand English?
Вы понимаете по-английски? Вы понимаете по-английски?
That was a tough one. Let's try to ask again. You understand English?
Вы понимаете по-английски? Вы понимаете по-английски?
Do you remember what part of that sentence means English?
По-английски. по-английски?
Can you say, Miss, excuse me?
Девушка, прошу прощения. Девушка, прошу прощения.
Now try saying, Miss, excuse me, do you understand?
Девушка, прошу прощения. Вы понимаете? Девушка, прошу прощения. Вы понимаете?
Let's revisit the word understand, or понимаете. If you listen closely, it's not a simple sound of N, as it would be in English, but rather your tongue is pressed to the very top of your mouth. Listen and repeat.
Понимаете. Понимаете.
Ask again in Russian. You understand?
Вы понимаете? Вы понимаете?
Try to ask, do you understand English?
Вы понимаете по-английски? Вы понимаете по-английски?
For the purpose of this exercise, let's assume the speaker is asking if you understand English. You respond, yes. Listen to the Russian word for yes.
Да. Да.
The Russian word for yes, or
Да.
has a similar pronunciation to the English name Doug, without the G. Listen and repeat.
Да. Да.
Imagine you're walking in downtown Moscow. A tourist mistakes you for a Russian. They ask, do you understand English? Your response is yes. Say yes.
Да. Да.
Or, if you would like to respond more appropriately, you say, yes, I understand. Listen.
Да. Я понимаю. Да. Я понимаю.
In the most recent phrase, the word I was introduced. Let's hear the Russian word for I.
Я. Я.
And together the speaker says, I understand.
Я понимаю. Я понимаю.
Let's listen to the Russian word for understand, but when conjugated for I, as in I understand.
Понимаю. Понимаю.
How do you say in Russian, I understand?
Я понимаю. Я понимаю.
Which part of that means I?
Я. Я.
From what you've learned, can you say, yes, I understand?
Да. Я понимаю. Да. Я понимаю.
Which part of that phrase means understand?
Понимаю. Понимаю.
Do you remember how to ask in Russian? Do you understand? Or literally translated, you understand?
Вы понимаете? Вы понимаете?
As you've probably noticed, the word for understand when saying you understand and I understand are different. Listen and repeat.
Понимаете. Понимаю.
Can you say in this order, you understand, I understand?
Вы понимаете. Я понимаю. Вы понимаете. Я понимаю.
From what you've learned, can you say, yes, you understand?
Да. Вы понимаете. Да. Вы понимаете.
Now try to say, yes, I understand.
Да. Я понимаю. Да. Я понимаю.
Say, yes, I understand English.
Да, я понимаю по-английски. Да, я понимаю по-английски.
Which part of that phrase means English?
По-английски. По-английски.
Say, yes, I understand.
Да, я понимаю. Да, я понимаю.
Let's go back to the original conversation. Assume the speaker asks, "Do you understand English?" Your response is, "No, I speak Russian." Listen.
Нет, я говорю по-русски. Нет, я говорю по-русски.
In the phrase you just heard, new words were introduced. Let's hear the Russian word for no.
Нет. Нет.
The pronunciation of the Russian word for no, or
Нет.
is similar like the English word yet, but imagine that you're pronouncing it with an N in front of it. Listen and repeat.
Нет. Нет.
How would you say in Russian, no?
Нет. Нет.
From what you've learned, can you say, no, I understand?
Нет. Я понимаю. Нет. Я понимаю.
Let's hear the speaker say again, I speak. Listen and repeat.
Я говорю. Я говорю.
From what you've learned earlier, you already recognize the word for I, or,
Я.
but let's hear again the word for speak. Listen and repeat.
Говорю.
And again once more, but slowly.
Говорю.
Try to say, I speak.
Я говорю. Я говорю.
If you remember from earlier, the speaker's response to the question, "Do you understand English?" was, "No, I speak Russian." Say, "No, I speak."
Нет. Я говорю. Нет. Я говорю.
Now let's learn to complete this phrase. Listen to the Russian word for Russian.
По-русски. По-русски.
As you learned earlier with the word for English, the word for Russian, or
По-русски.
is only used in this form when said in a sentence. Listen and repeat.
По-русски. По-русски.
Can you say the Russian word for Russian, as in the Russian language?
По-русски. По-русски.
From what you've learned, try to say, No, I speak Russian.
Нет. Я говорю по-русски. Нет. Я говорю по-русски.
Say, No, I speak.
Нет. Я говорю. Нет. Я говорю.
A more appropriate response to the question, Do you understand Russian? Would be, No, miss, I don't understand Russian. Listen.
Девушка. Нет. Я не понимаю по-русски. Девушка. Нет. Я не понимаю по-русски.
You can follow up your response by saying, But I speak English. Listen.
Но я говорю по-английски. Но я говорю по-английски.
The word but, or
Но
is similar to the English word no, but it has a nasal sound at the end. Listen and repeat.
но но
Say, No, but I speak English.
нет. Но я говорю по-английски. Нет. Я говорю по-английски.
Perhaps you would like to respond, But I speak Russian a little. Listen and repeat.
Но я немного говорю по-русски. Но я немного говорю по-русски.
Let's hear again the Russian word for little, or a little.
Немного. Немного.
If you remember the phrase, I speak Russian a little, or
Я немного говорю по-русски.
you'll notice that the word little, or немного, is before the verb speak. Listen again and repeat.
Я немного говорю по-русски. Я немного говорю по-русски.
Can you say little or a little?
Немного. Немного.
This is the end of Baboyak's Russian Lesson 1. If you feel that you're comfortable with this material, please move to Lesson 2. If not, you can replay this lesson and move on later.